Hi, I'm Chris Maragkakis of Simply Be Retreats and Therapies. I'm a life coach, therapist and podcaster. Welcome to Mindful Mutterings. Please like, share and subscribe. And as always, thanks for listening. Hi, thanks for joining me. This week I want to talk about finding peace. The world is a crazy place that we stress and rush through on our way to our final destination, which for all of us inevitably is going to be death, forgetting that it's actually the journey that we should be enjoying and taking the time to cultivate stillness during, so that we can get to know ourselves and learn how to become peaceful in our minds and our words and ultimately our actions. Now, I guess being peaceful has different meaning for all of us as we're also individual. But for me, it means using a non-confrontational speech, being compassionate and having supportive action, and a feeling of stillness in my mind with an underlying bubbling of joy. I mean, do you know what I mean? I'm sitting quietly and I feel calm, but the corners of my mouth turn up and I just feel so connected and joyful. And this for me is bliss. That's not to say I don't feel stressed at times or disillusioned, because that would be a lie. As it would be me saying that I've never hurt anyone with my words or actions. But I do try to be mindfully aware so that for most of the time I don't. And, you know, like everyone, I'm a work in progress. So how can we cultivate a feeling of calm? As I've already said, mindful awareness is the first step so that we can identify, challenge and change harmful beliefs, words and actions. And then once we've started paying attention to these, which are ultimately tools of the mind, and we've created some focus and awareness, we can then begin to work on the mind itself. And in addition to mindfulness, I found the following helpful in creating a peaceful mind for me. So I'm going to share them with you and I hope that they help you too. So the first thing is trying to accept people and situations for how they are and not how I think they should be. By honestly appraising the reality of a relationship I'm in or a situation that I'm experiencing, I can prevent a lot of my suffering, because ultimately it's only me that gets hurt or frustrated when something isn't as I think it should be. So instead of giving in to those emotions, I try to see the person or event as being exactly as it or they should be. I try not to assign a good or bad value to the interaction. And I now know that this is how it's meant to be, because that's how it is. Because to think otherwise would be arguing with the reality and truth of what I'm seeing, and that is what is going to cause my suffering. Every time we try and argue with reality, what we're doing is we're trying to fool ourselves, because clearly it's there, it's in front of us. That is the situation. And it doesn't matter how many stories we tell ourselves or how many people we get to agree with us that it shouldn't be that way. Ultimately, it is that way, and we need to find a way to deal with it. So by cutting out all of that angst and emotion and trauma and drama, I try to just accept the situation in front of me or the person in front of me, and find a way to deal with it then. I try to let things go. So when something hasn't gone the way I thought it would, or something sad has happened, I don't try and bury my feelings or ignore it or brush it aside. I find somewhere where I can go and I allow my feelings to just wash over me. And I call out and accept each one. I notice where in the body I'm feeling it, why it's making me feel the way it's making me feel, what connotations that I associate with that. And then I try and let it go, because once I've acknowledged it and I've brought it into the present moment, it no longer has so much power over me. And then I can look at what I can be grateful for in the encounter. Now, sometimes I have to dig really, really deep to find something to be grateful for. But then once I have, I can see that actually everything that I go through and everything that I come out the other side is just a learning experience. It's an opportunity for me to grow. And so then I can start to look at the lesson that I need to learn. And I know that I need to learn this lesson because there it is right in front of me. And if I'm not paying attention and I'm not learning from them, then similar lessons are going to keep appearing in my life until I do. So I really try to see things as they are and not bottle stuff up, and give myself time to feel and to process. And then, like, as I say, once it comes into the present moment, it no longer has that awful power over you. I also practice sitting in silence a lot. Now, for me, this makes up part of my daily meditation practice, but I also take time frequently during the day to just sit quietly and check in with myself. to ask myself how I'm feeling and to notice whether my thoughts are working for or against me. Because I find it really helpful, because if not, you can just get swept away with the day. I also spend a lot of time in nature, which helps me to slow things down. And although I'm very proactive and organised and I am a conscious creator, I make an effort to try not to rush, and I create space in my day for me to be still. And being in nature enables me to relax. It lets my mind mull things over and my body to respond to the sound and the rhythm of the environment around me. And that helps to keep me calm. I use the breath. Most of us only shallow breathe all day, and that can cause our body to feel under pressure and to tire easily. Taking regular deep breaths can help us to slow down. It improves the oxygen supply to our brain, and it also activates the parasympathetic system, all of which helps us to create a relaxed state. And there are 2 breathwork or pranayama practices that I also found very helpful for creating peace. One is Nadi Shodhana, which I might not be saying this right, but essentially it's known as alternate nostril breathing. And this technique really quickly relieves stress and anxiety, and it balances the 2 hemispheres of the brain. So to do it, you need to sit up straight, you hold your right hand up to your face, you close your right nostril with your right thumb and slowly inhale through the left nostril. Then you pause for a few moments after the inhale, and then you close the left nostril with your ring finger, release the breath slowly through the right nostril, and you repeat it for a few rounds. I mean, obviously don't do this while you're driving or, while you're doing something that you should be really focused on. This is something that you do as part of a relaxation, or you take yourself somewhere where you can do it privately if you're getting stressed. Don't be doing it where you could cause harm to yourself or anybody else. And as you're breathing, set the intention to balance the brain and remain engaged in the practice. It's especially useful practice at the end of a long day when you just want to quieten your mind and get ready for sleep. And the other is Siddhita Kumbhaka. Again, it might not have been pronounced properly. But generally, we're so concerned with our inhales and exhales that we completely forget about the space in between. And so Kumbhaka is a state of pause or suspension between the breaths, and that helps us to find stillness through being focused mindfully. So to do that, you take a lovely long inhale, you pause and you hold for a few moments at the top of the breath, and then you exhale slowly. You hold that for a few moments at the bottom of the breath, and you repeat that for 5 minutes before returning back to a normal breath. And at first it may feel a little bit unnatural. After all, we're typically rushed around all day and we're busy in our lives. But over time, you'll find that you become more mindful of your breathing patterns, and that encourages stillness to be found within. And you'll find that your breath naturally becomes more steady and deep the more you practice it. And I find that the more peace that I can create in my mind, the more peaceful I want my environment to be. And this can include, not using harmful chemicals and eating well, managing toxic people and situations quickly and effectively, and not entering into other people's dramas. Obviously I'm happy to listen and to offer suggestions to help, but I no longer have an attachment to them taking my advice or trying to convince someone that I'm right. If I am to be peaceful, then I need to respect that everyone has the right to live how they see fit. And that obviously brings me back to dealing with reality and living with acceptance and not my expectation. I may want to help someone, I may even be being paid to help someone, but I can only offer advice. I can't make someone take that advice. And if for me to try and do that would be an act of aggression. And obviously if I want to live peacefully, then that's not something that I want to be taking part in. So I'm sure that you can see how living peacefully can improve your life through, having more harmonious relationships, kinder communication, and obviously better outcomes for yourself and those around you. So I'd love for you to give it a go. Let me know how you get on. As always, if you want to get in touch with me or work with me, then you can do so through my website, simplybe.org.uk. And as always, thank you for listening. Take care, and I wish you a peaceful week. Bye.